I don't want to waste your time, so there won't be an intro. I feel like by now you're living under a rock and you haven't seen this execute by Varrel. It shocked everyone because it was a great plan and it came from an APAC team. But what I want to talk about is how this differs from a regular breach rush and just how special this attack is. If we're looking at a regular CC rush, typically we'll see these rushes consist of 3 people who go on the breach, but typically the topic of conversation revolves around the fact of, do you plant in front of the rack with the soft wall into cache, or do you plant behind the rack on default? For the sake of time, I'm going to talk about the typical way people plant behind the rack. Usually you have Thermite for the breach, open the wall, and as the wall pops, Thermite and another player double for the rafter head holes, and then Thermite plants. One player swings red to kill that player, another player hops in the CC window looking to kill the wire's door player who will likely be caught off guard. And the most important player is the one who plays garage, and looks to kill, or at least make the garage player nervous as he takes a gunfight onto the guy running in the breach. Generally, this is considered the most viable way to rush CCTV, as it gets rid of a double crossfire holder in rafters and forces the gunfight on the dangerous positions in sight. Now that we've talked about the way that people generally attack on a CCTV rush, let's talk about what the APAC team did. Dokkaebi is on the roof and Gridlock on the window, and they throw smokes into CC in these positions. And as the smokes go off, Maverick burns an LOS onto the CC wall with glass holding any crosses from red to wires. Then Maverick rotates over to the garage door to apply pressure on the rafters so they can't play into the crossfire onto the CC window, and the CC window player now hops in and goes to plant on the opposite of pro plant and sticks the plant on the TV set. Gridlock finishes the plant and is now likely deficit supply, but plays for a pick into rafters and also a pick on the wire's door. Now, that seems pretty cool, but there are a few things most people will think would be flaws. First off is that Grid plants in a smoke. Most would think that this is weak to Warden, but Varrel actually banned that out before the game even started. The next thought would be, what about Nitros below? Wouldn't those be able to take the planter out? Well, that's where their 5th player comes in. Finko is below, and that is how Okamesh got the pick onto Shinka. Even then, Shinka would have had to split his attention, as Okamesh was clearly making an effort to try and walk red before killing him. Okay, that might be pretty convincing in its own right. What about bulletproof cameras and maestro cams? I mean, you talked about that in your whole last video about how glads can be countered with those. Well, thing is, Dokkaebi actually uses their logic bomb to deny any defenders, dead and alive, from seeing where it goes down. Now, all that's very good, but let's talk about the smoke locations and why they're important. A smoke goes down to deny an angle onto wire's door. Another goes down on the rafter's head hole to deny any direct angles onto the LOS for the CC window, and a similar idea is in place for the rafters window. And then finally, there's a smoke against the breach so glass can safely fight with no contest. Now, this is all pretty good for getting a plant down, but let's talk post-plant potential. Obviously, we saw Varrel win the round, so it's definitely very strong. But let's talk about why. Well, obviously in this round we see Gridlock gets 2 very important picks. He breaks the tension in rafters and he also gets a pick onto wires. Even if Grid doesn't break the tension in rafters and doesn't also get a pick onto wires and dies without a pick, the round is still nearly impossible to win from the defending perspective. There's just too many people and too many good spots. For one, we have Maverick outside a garage, meaning they can't use garage as a runout to relieve pressure from the breach, and Dokkaebi holds any sort of attempts at defusing should Glaz or Maverick miss the opportunity to kill the players crossing. And now on top of those 2 powerful cutoffs to the bomb, Finka is still below with the potential to walk up red and cause mayhem in the backside. And it can still get harder for the defensive side. If Finka were instead replaced with someone like Zofia, she can now win the round from secret stairs and 1v1 with her stuns and impacts. Overall, I don't expect this to really be the new meta of rushing CCTV, but I do think it offers a lot of interesting perspective and innovation to the game. And I also think there's a lot of counterplay that can come into this. APAC in general has been pretty weak, but when they can counterplay like this, it's pretty impressive. I don't think APAC should have this many spots, but it's very interesting to see their development happen live. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you enjoyed the video as well. Have a nice day.